30-lap area where the Hoosiers seem to be a little stronger, but then the Goodyear seem to come right back.
I would wager that we'll see Goodyear tires go back on that 27 on the next pit stop.
I better believe it. I tell you, I'm sure that Rusty Wallace and Jimmy Makar are having a little discussion now on the two-way radio. Jimmy, of course, the chassis specialist for that car, as Earnhardt now showing the way, and in his mirror he can see that bright green Quaker State Q. That's the Ricky Rudd machine now in second spot, and Rudd headed toward the front. Ricky Rudd, 31 years of age, from Chesapeake, Virginia. Impressive young driver. We already mentioned earlier, Rudd is probably one of the most consistent race car drivers. He's extremely smooth on a racetrack, and he is reeling in Earnhardt.
He is definitely moving in. That car has worked well all day long. He got caught back that last time on the green flag. When the green flag dropped, he was back in the pack a little bit, but he has methodically worked his way up through the pack, moved into second position, now gaining on the lead.
259 laps in the books here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Earnhardt the leader. Rusty Wallace is now in third spot as he has been passed by Ricky Rudd in second, and fourth is Bill Elliott. Here in the Blue Ridge Mountains of western North Carolina. It's apple season here. The Apple Festival just a couple of weeks ago, and plenty of bags of apples on hand for munching down trackside. And one driver doing some munching right now is he's sort of munching away at the lead for Dale Earnhardt. That's Ricky Rudd. He's reeled him in now by 3 car lengths.
Yes, he has. He has consistently moved up on him every lap. Jerry, his car is working better in the turns than is Dale Earnhardt's. Now, Earnhardt is going to be tough to pass, but Rudd's car is working well enough that I believe that he'll be able to set him up and do it.
Dale Earnhardt coming all the way back from a starting spot, 22nd on the field to lead here at North Wilkesboro. And Ricky Rudd, though, has been the man of the hour. He's been the strong horse here most of the afternoon, but he's currently running in second spot, but he just caught Earnhardt down in turn 1.
Well, I'll tell you guys, it's going to be tough to figure out who the driver of the race today is going to be. Look at the show of performance, the performance we've seen from Ricky Rudd, Dale Earnhardt. All of the guys that have been up front today have all put on such a show.
Well, Lake Speed right there on the lower groove. Speed, one of the slower cars now, doing the best he can, but for moments, Rudd will have to fall back in line behind Earnhardt. Rudd had made his move on the inside, but then the slower car Speed was there. Earnhardt using every trick in the book to use that lap traffic as much as he can to stay out front.
The Speed going down 2 laps. He was already 1 lap down to the leaders, running in the 17th position.
Earnhardt trying to get that coveted short track win at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Earnhardt has won here twice at North Wilkesboro, but he's never won in the Holly Farms 400. Both of his wins coming in the spring race here. Earnhardt having won back in 1986 and, of course, last year 87, both in the spring.
Boy, what an importance the pit crew plays at this racetrack. You know, Ricky Rudd was the leader during the last caution period, came into pits, and Dale Earnhardt and Rusty Wallace beat Ricky Rudd out of the pits, and it's been this long for Ricky Rudd to get back to the ground that he's lost just to get to Dale Earnhardt's back bumper. Now he has to pass him to regain just to get back where he was before the caution.
And Dale Earnhardt knows that if you lead the most laps in a Winston Cup race, you get another 5-point bonus. So he'd like to stay out there as long as possible, but it might not be possible too long, because here comes Ricky Rudd down on the inside as they go into turn 3. Can he do it, Jerry?
Rudd's got the inside groove. There's a lot of lap traffic. Ricky will have to hurry if he's going to get by Earnhardt, because they're coming up on some traffic. Rudd's got him by a fender as they head for 1, but Earnhardt comes back strong on the outside, and they're in turn 1. Now, just in front of them will be the Kyle Petty car. Rudd knows Kyle is there. He jumps in the throttle and pulls Earnhardt by a car length, and Ricky Rudd, the new leader here in the Holly Farms 400.
Boy, that car is getting a bite off the turns. He was down on the inside. When you can do that and pull up beside of somebody else and maintain traction, pull on around them, that means that the car is really working.
That number 26 car is very fast today. It is unbelievable that to pass Dale Earnhardt like he did. You know, everybody's seen Dale Earnhardt passing cars all day. I don't think anybody's passed Earnhardt but Ricky Rudd so far today.
Well, statistically speaking, it doesn't favor you if you start outside the top 10 or top 15 here. In the 27-year history of this race, only twice has a driver starting outside the top 15 gone on to win it. Richard Petty did it in 1970, starting 16th, and Tim Richmond did it in 1984, and he started back in 17th spot. The top 10 as we currently have them. Here they are. Rudd is now your new leader. Dale Earnhardt is in second spot. Rusty Wallace is third. Jeff Bodine fourth. Bill Elliott is fifth. 276 laps complete. Alan Kulwicki of Hurley back in sixth. Labonte is seventh. Phil Parsons eighth. Darrell Waltrip ninth. And Davey Allison in 10th. 11th is Alexander. 12th Hillen. Sachs 13th. Then Marlin and Schrader. Rudd now really pulling away. 282 laps complete. Just over 118 laps to go. Rudd is your leader. And the battle now back for fourth spot is Elliott now currently in fifth. Jeff Bodine in fourth. Bodine is the car number 5. That yellow number of Levi Garrett's Chevrolet. And of course, Elliott now chomping away. Makes a move on the inside. A little bit of room for Elliott. And Elliott now half a car length. But Bodine strong on the straightaways. Let's see if Elliott can hang on inside turn 1. Bodine rides it high, gives the opening to Bill Elliott. Elliott on the inside out of turn 2. They are door to door. Bill Elliott now making the move down the backstretch and uses that horsepower to take fourth spot.
But Bodine tries to come back up on the outside, but he can't quite do it that time as Elliott gets a little more bite off the turn, but Bodine's not giving up. I'll tell you, he's racing him hard.
Jeff Bodine, a short track hot shoot from up in New England way, of course, out of Chemung, New York. Bodine cut his teeth on the open wheel modified track. His father, Eli Bodine, owned a modified speedrome up outside of Chemung, and he ran those modified cars for many years prior to making the transition down south to the Fender car, the full-bodied stock cars. Bodine having won here before, as we mentioned, in the modified car back in 1980, but yet to go to victory lane here in a Winston Cup car. There's Alan Kulwicki, his car now being shown back in the 6th spot. Kulwicki back there in the car number 7, the Z-Rex car. Kulwicki now trying to reel in Jeff Bodine. Bodine, of course, 5th. Elliott now in 4th.
We've got a report from the pit radios that Alan Kulwicki has an oil pressure problem. So he's got to be on pins and needles right now. If his oil pressure is dropping, if his oil pressure drops very much, his motor won't last very long at all. He's got to try and maintain positions and pass people, but at the same time be prepared for that oil pressure to go all the way away.
Well, he just took over 5th position there from Jeff Bodine and moved around him with ease. Of course, Jeff's car doesn't seem to be working quite as good now as it did a little bit earlier, and he's another of those drivers that's on the Hoosier tires, and they've run a pretty good while on this green flag run here, and it could be that those tires are heating up and beginning to slide around a little bit on the racetrack.
That's probably the case. Bodine's tire is getting awfully hot, and Kulwicki not concerned with that oil pressure gauge as he has moved inside of Jeff Bodine to take over the 5th spot.
Alan's car always handles well on most any racetrack, but particularly on the short tracks. He's coming up on Bill Elliott. See Elliott in car number 9 there, and he is picking up on the 4th place car.
Back up front, there is Ricky Rudd moving in on Darrell Waltrip. Waltrip in the Tide, the bright orange, Dago orange Tide machine, car number 17, as Rudd is the leader. Running second is Dale Earnhardt, and Ricky Rudd working over the rear of Darrell Waltrip. Let's take a look back at what happened years ago in Winston Cup racing in this Winston Cup replay.
Winston Cup replays are brought to you by Purolator, the first name in filters. For Pure Oil now and Pure Oil later, it's Purolator. Hickory Speedway, about 40 miles from North Wilkesboro, had racing every Saturday night, but it also attracted what's now the Winston Cup Series. And it brought in the brightest stars of the day, drivers like our own Ned Jarrett and Richard Petty, who was already in his 8th year of competition. He was still learning, though. Dirt tracks were more difficult to qualify on. We see the start of this race from an early version of today's sophisticated in-car camera. Going from pavement to dirt was not easy for some. Curtis Turner drives the number 41. Notice no sponsors and the legendary Tiny Lund, king of the power slide. Here's another spin, getting through Elmo Langley in 64, Turner and Petty. Richard, though, has to make a costly pit stop. David Pearson moved up to challenge Turner for the lead. And at the drop of the checkered flag, David, in a Cotton Owens car, takes home one of his 105 Winston Cup victories.
Ricky Rudd just going around the car number, the 9th place car. And that, of course, is Darrell Waltrip, putting Waltrip 1 lap down. Waltrip trying to hang on, hoping for a yellow flag to get that car dialed in. You heard Benny Parsons talk with Jeff Hammond a little bit ago. They had gotten the car much closer than they were at the beginning of the race, but not quite close enough for that strong muscle, that horsepower machine of Ricky Rudd. As Rudd now goes around the 9th place car and begins to make his way toward the 8th place car, which, of course, would be Phil Parsons.
Boy, that car is just driving so well, and Ricky Rudd is doing such a good job of driving it today. He has worked his way around traffic, been very cautious where he needed to. Here's a battle for second place as Rusty Wallace tries to move up on the outside of Dale Earnhardt, but Wallace gets a little loose as he got on the outside.
Boy, he got a lot loose, Ned. He had it really hung out like almost like a dirt track.
Wallace swatting flies, and that race car looked like he was swatting flies the way he was wedging that steering wheel back and forth, trying to hang on in turn 3 and 4. And he's a gamer. He kept that car on the racetrack out of turn 3, but he lost some spots back there. 2 car lengths back to Earnhardt. That's a battle for second spot. Earnhardt currently in second position. Wallace a car length back, and their tires really have to be getting hot and going away on them. Wallace slides high again, trying to hang on. Earnhardt's car working on the bottom of the racetrack.
But you know, after a tire slides like that, especially the 2 rear tires on Rusty Wallace's car, they really build up a lot of heat right then at that point, and it takes them a long time to cool off.
And talk about cooling off. One driver who's making his way very slowly and disappointingly back down pit road. He will make that left-hand turn, and it will not be his first win of the season. Alan Kulwicki, after a great effort today, Alan Kulwicki, 33-year-old driver in the Xerox Ford, takes it to the garage area.
Well, he had moved up in the top 5, Jerry, as we saw it there a few minutes ago, but apparently that oil pressure problem that Gary mentioned has gotten the best of him, and he has to go into the garage area and out of the race.
Well, you know, the thing about it is when a car is running, if it starts to have a problem like oil pressure or just smoking, something going wrong, they usually never get better. Those things always seem to get worse. They don't fix themselves. Eventually something finally lets loose and you have to park it.
Remember now, there's Earnhardt. He is currently being shown in second spot. He has led. Wallace has not led. Rusty Wallace needs to get up there and try to lead a lap, but right now Wallace's tires apparently have gone away. As Ricky Rudd is your leader here at Wilkesboro Speedway, we are approaching the 300 lap mark. Rudd showing the way in the Quaker State Buick. Stay tuned, we'll be back. Speedway, ESPN's Speed World presentation of the NASCAR Winston Cup Holly Farms 400 is being brought to you by Goodyear Eagle Tires. Goodyear, because there really is a difference. By Mr. Goodwrench. No one knows your GM car better than Mr. Goodwrench. No one. And by Purolator, the first name in filters. For pure oil now and pure oil later, it's Purolator. Back at Wilkesboro Speedway, 304 laps. We are under caution again for debris and oil in the backstretch, and the man who put out the debris, they were engine parts and oil, is standing by with Dick Berggren. Dick?
And Alan Kulwicki is here in the garage area. Alan, the motor go?
Yeah, it did. You know, it's really too bad. We're running pretty well and moving up. The Xerox Amoco 4 Thunderbird was running good when we blew an engine.
And that's it for the day. Benny Parsons, has been a lot of activity on pit road as a result of this. What has happened in particular to Ricky Rudd?
You know, Dick Berger and Larry McReynolds were just telling me. A pit stop, 4 tires, a little over 21 seconds, and guess what?
Got beat by 2 cars. I don't know what to do. More power to them. We just have to outrun them on the racetrack.
I watched your pit stop, Larry. It looked like a fantastic pit stop.
I know it, but them guys down pit road, they've been at it a little longer than us. All we gonna do is just keep working. Like I say, you have a 21.8 and get beat, ain't nothing you can do but just smile and say, well, they beat us.
Okay, Larry, thanks.
And the 2 cars that beat him, you guessed it, Earnhardt's crew, the Goodwrench crew, and the Rusty Wallace Kodiak crew. As a safety car pulls away, we are under 100 laps to go. Make it 94 laps to the checkered flag of Wilkesboro Speedway. And up front again, that black and silver numeral car number 3, the Goodwrench Chevrolet, and green flag waves for Dale Earnhardt. He leads the charge then in turn 1. It's Earnhardt, Rusty Wallace, and then the crew chief you just heard from, Larry McReynolds, driver, that's Ricky Rudd. Rudd going around the outside of the car number 17. Remember, Waltrip is showing 1 lap down. Rudd is 3rd, and then, of course, Bill Elliott showing in 4th spot.
Rusty Wallace really working on Dale Earnhardt. I made a wager that they'd put Goodyear tires back on that car number 27, but they didn't. They still have Hoosier tires on it, so I was wrong. He apparently was happy with the Hoosier tires, and right now they're working good for him.
And Rusty Wallace, remember, he needs to lead a lap. He has not led, and now's the best chance he'll have possibly today to lead a lap and to get around Earnhardt. So Wallace saving nothing for the end. He jumps back in that throttle out of turn 4, but has got a full view of the rear bumper of that Goodwrench Chevrolet. on the inside, but Earnhardt's car working so well on the bottom of the racetrack.
Well, going into the turns, it looks like that Rusty's able to jump up there on him, but coming off, as you say, Earnhardt's car is working good there, getting good traction at this point of the race, and when you can do that coming off the turns here, you can keep a man behind you.
That's a good shot. You can see the difference in when they hit the gas pedal and when they let off the gas. Right here especially, you can see Rusty Wallace go into the turn a little deeper, but then Dale Earnhardt right here gets on the gas a little sooner, and Rusty starts coming back as they get onto the straightaway.
But look at that green car, Ricky Rudd coming back up there. He had to dispose of Darrell Waltrip, the left car, before he could get up there and start doing battle with them, and Ricky is definitely gaining on him. He's shown all afternoon that he has the fastest car.
Let's take a look at the caution summary. The lap 59, caution number 1, the 21 car, Kyle Petty spun. That lasted 4 laps. An infield emergency for getting one of the crew members out from an accident on pit road, 157 that lap. That was a length for 5 laps. Richard Petty spun on lap 180. The car number 33 of Harry Gant spun on lap 204. And the most recent caution on lap 303 for oil in the backstretch by virtue of the blown engine from Alan Kulwicki.
Jerry, we have a report that a couple of cars that had switched to Hoosiers have gone back to Goodyear. That's the cars of Terry Labonte, the Budweiser Chevrolet, and Phil Parsons in the Crown Skull Oldsmobile. They tried the Hoosier tires a while, but now they've gone back to Goodyear. Both of those cars still running in the lead lap. At 300 laps, they were being shown in the 7th and 8th position in the lead lap.
Rusty Wallace trying to wedge his way beneath the Dale Earnhardt machine, and he's got it there. And Earnhardt is in the middle groove, and Rusty has the grass and part of the bottom groove out of turn 2, and Rusty will hang in there. Wallace now needs to lead a lap. His car's sideways, but he hangs on, and Rusty Wallace will get that lap as the fans are on their feet, waving and shouting. Loving every lap of it here. These two guys respect each other, and Earnhardt says, hey, I'm back here. As you see pieces of that rear bumper in the Kodiak Pontiac come separated there in turn 2.
I think Dale Earnhardt knocked part of his right front headlight out. You can see the bumper of Rusty Wallace's car caved in, and some pieces of aluminum or something came off of one of the cars as they bumped there.
Now we'll see if Wallace can pull away a little bit from Earnhardt, because Wallace knows how strong Rudd is. He also knows how difficult Earnhardt is to pass. So if Rusty can get a little bit of momentum in that car and pull away somewhat, maybe he can put some distance between himself and that green car, the third-place machine of Ricky Rudd.
And while those 3 cars are battling up there, you can see on the top of the picture there, Bill Elliott's not too far behind. Bill currently running in the 4th position, and right on his back bumper is Jeff Bodine in car number 5. In fact, Bodine is about to try to make a pass on Elliott going into turn 3. Here it is for 4th position. Jeff Bodine down on the inside of Bill Elliott. Bodine gets the traction coming off on the inside and gets the car length, almost the car length out in front, but Elliott tried to come back on the outside.
Bill Elliott's got the momentum up high. He keeps those RPMs up, but Bodine really jumps back in it out of turn 2 on the inside. Bodine has the short way around this 5/8 of a mile oval of Wilkesboro Speedway. They're up on the 14-degree banks in turns 3 and 4, and again, Bodine will have the advantage. That's the Waltrip car, the Tide Chevrolet, that's showing a lap down back in there. This is the battle back for 4th and 5th spot.
Well, Darrell just did lose a lap before that last caution came out. The leaders, he fought and tried to stay in the lead lap. Leader just got around Darrell, then the caution came out for the oil from Alan Kulwicki's car. So Darrell was so close to still being on the lead lap.
Well, Rusty Wallace now beginning to pull away from Dale Earnhardt, and Ricky Rudd now doing battle with Earnhardt for the 2nd position as Wallace moves away.
Now Rusty Wallace trying to hang on. Rusty knows how difficult it can be to pass. Rusty was concerned about not having a good record here. Rusty, what's your reaction to knowing Dale Earnhardt has a great record at this racetrack? How about it?
I know that Dale's going to be the toughest, I believe, here at Wilkesboro this week. He's always showed incredible strength here. I've just been so-so, and Elliott has been terrible. So we'll just see what happens. I hope that I've gained a little bit on Dale. I hope the new body style will be better for me this year here. And I hope that I can gain some points on him. Just win the race, we'll gain the points automatically. That's what I'm hoping to do.
Well, he gained points a week ago. He gained $84,000 and 15 points by virtue of his win at Charlotte. and he would like to gain some more points today. Time is running out. Only 3 events remain. Rockingham a week from today. Of course, then we go to Phoenix for the Checker 500, and then the season curtain call is at Atlanta Speedway, Atlanta International Raceway for the Atlanta Journal 500, all here on ESPN.
One driver, Neil Bonnet, is in the pits in the Valvoline Pontiac, and I believe it's going to be terminal for him. He came in, they looked, there was smoke coming from the right front of the car, and now I believe Neil is going to take it into the garage area. Indeed he is. So Neil Bonnet pulling into the garage out of the race.
It looked like Neil's right front brakes had boiled. The smoke was coming right from the right front wheel area, so I'm sure he doesn't have any brakes.
We got some reports on pit road that Bill Elliott, we saw him a minute ago as he was trying to do battle back there with the Jeff Bodine car. Elliott now being shown back in 5th position, and Elliott's car was really up across the racetrack. There's, of course, the lead car. 2nd is Earnhardt. 3rd is Rudd. Back and forth with Jeff Bodine. And Bill Elliott, the car number 9, showing back and forth. There's Bodine's car coming into the picture. But Elliott's car really having some problems here, Gary, and we're told that the car is extremely loose.
Yeah, you know, it's almost, you know, with the car that qualifies on a pole here at Wilkesboro always seems to get loose in the race. I've never really been able to figure it out, but the pole sitter always seems to not be around at the end, at least in contention at the end.
Here's a good battle for 5th, 6th, and 7th. That's Bill Elliott running in 5th, and Terry Labonte and Phil Parsons have both caught him. And with Elliott's car getting a little loose, Labonte got on the inside of him a lap ago, but he turned his car crossways, and Elliott was able to maintain the 5th position. But now Terry Labonte, who has won the last 2 races here in North Wilkesboro, working on Bill Elliott. You see Phil Parsons back there going very high in the turn.
It looks like everybody in that little group right there is a little bit loose, Ned. They're all trying to get some traction. They're all sliding. They're all trying to make up ground, and they're not really getting much accomplished.
Elliott trying to tiptoe through some of the corners. A minute ago, he was running the car hard, and he just sort of dog-walked up across the racetrack, and now Elliott has the middle groove. Phil Parsons up very high, but Elliott does not quite have enough space there to lead for the Terry Labonte car. Labonte now on the bottom of the racetrack. Now Elliott slips up high, and Labonte will take advantage of that move and try to go beneath Elliott, but Elliott is so strong on the front straightaway, on the back stretch, though, as now they battle. There's Davey Allison coming into the picture. So 4 cars now slipping and sliding out there trying to tiptoe their way and pass each other here at Wilkesboro.
Well, it looked like Labonte definitely has the advantage in turns 3 and 4. He sort of holds his own right here this time in turns 1 and 2. He should be able to get him when they go into turn 3 this next time. Let's see if he can do it down on the inside.
They're door-to-door up in turns 3 and 4. Remember, Terry Labonte has gone back to the Goodyear rubber, and he really gets a good bite off the corner there, so he should be able to pull him by a car length here in turn 1. Elliott hanging low, hanging on the outside, Bodine on the inside, or Terry Labonte on the inside, the Budweiser Chevrolet. And Labonte will have the option. Now battle back there between Davey Allison and Phil Parsons.
Of course, Davey a lap down. Phil Parsons currently running in the 7th position. There are only 7 cars on the lead lap right now. Davey Allison showing in the 9th position. Darrell Waltrip is 1 lap down in 8th position.
So those cars on the lead lap, of course, Rusty Wallace, your leader. Earnhardt is 2nd. Rudd is 3rd. Jeff Bodine is 4th. 5th there you see the Elliott car, and now Elliott has been passed by Terry Labonte. So by Terry Labonte, Labonte will be the 5th place car. Elliott is 6th, and the 7th place car, all those cars in the lead lap, is Phil Parsons.
Well, Phil Parsons right up against the wall. You know, there's so many different grooves everybody's trying, but this is really an example of no grip. These guys just don't have any traction. They're trying anything they can do. Some are running low, some are running high.
And what they're doing, Gary, when they're trying to pick that high groove.
Whoa, trouble out of turn 2. The leader has gotten involved with Jimmy Means, and Rusty Wallace was trying to get around Jimmy Means, and Means moved high, Wallace moved high, and Means moved to the inside, and the cars came together. And there you see Jimmy Means' Sonny King Ford Bullseye Barbecue Ford has tagged that inside wall, and Means loops it back around, gets the car refired, and the Forest City, North Carolina driver will be back on his way. But a tough break. Rusty Wallace at the front of his car getting together with Jimmy Means out of turn 2.
Well, Rusty, he stayed, what is he now, in 2nd, 3rd position, so he didn't lose that much ground, but the front of his car is bent up. We hope it didn't change the front end alignment.
Well, I'm sure he'll be coming into the pits now, and his crew will take a look at it. Dale Earnhardt leads them down into the pits, and sure enough, here comes all the cars down pit road.
Looks to be minimal damage on the Rusty Wallace Kodiak Pontiac, so we'll check on pit road and see exactly how severely that car is injured, as everybody is on pit road. Rusty Wallace is in for service, and you see him going to work. Let's take a look and see what happened out of turn 2.
Well, we see Rusty trying to move on the inside of Jimmy Means, and Jimmy didn't realize that he was down there. He was going to pull down to the inside of the racetrack and give him room to move on the outside, but Rusty had already made his commitment to move on the inside, and the result was, of course, that Jimmy spins to the inside. Let's go to the pits and Dick Berggren.
Well, Rusty Wallace's car is not badly damaged, but what he has lost here is track position. About 4 or 5 cars beat him out of the pit area. It was simply a slow stop. No real reason for it. They didn't do any special work on the right front of that car other than to take a look at it. But Rusty got beaten coming out of the pits, and Earnhardt, as usual, was the first guy on the racetrack.
Well, a tough break for Rusty Wallace. There's Jimmy Means coming back down pit road as he heads back on the Speedway. His car has apparently mostly sheet metal damage up front. Junie Dunleavy, the car owner there for Jimmy Means. And, of course, Jimmy was trying to move down on the inside, as you said, and then out of turn 2. His car had been slipping high as well, and Jimmy just had to let the car set and pull it down off the racetrack. And before he could do it, as quickly as Wallace was running, he was already to the inside of Means, and the cars came together. Here's the leader, Dale Earnhardt, in the Goodrich Chevrolet, back up front in the usual and customary position. 337 laps into the rules. If you are on the lead lap, you can pull up on the outside. As you've seen, the cars on the outside of that row are the lead cars on the lead lap. There's Earnhardt, and of course Ricky Rudd right behind Earnhardt, Jeff Bodine, Terry Labonte. There's Bill Elliott, Phil Parsons, and the 7th car on the lead lap is Rusty Wallace. So he only has 6 cars to pass, only 6, but a pretty potent 6 up front.
Well, that's 6 cars as far as position is concerned. Of course, all those cars down on the inside, many of them are just 1 lap down. They're going to be trying to get their lap back, so they're going to be racing hard, racing each other hard. So Rusty's going to have to pass some of those as well as the green flag flies.
Less than 60 laps remain here in the Wilkesboro Speedway in the Holly Farms 400. 341 laps that time, 5:59 to go. And the man they're chasing, of course, car number 3, the Goodrich Chevrolet for Dale Earnhardt. And Rudd really strong out of turn 3.
Well, look at that heavy traffic from inside of Dale Jarrett's car. It's just like they haven't changed any positions. They're just running side by side, but they're flat out. Some sheet metal came off of somebody's car.
Well, there's Morgan Shepherd right in front of Dale Jarrett. Mark Martin going by on the outside. You see Kyle Petty, Sitco Ford, way up on the outside. Morgan Shepherd just trying to get a chance to get on the outside. That's where he's been running all day. Now we move to the inside and see Dale Jarrett moving around the track.
Get an idea of Dale, that steering wheel, trying to turn the car down in the corners, and looked like possibly Earnhardt would pull away a little bit, but now Rudd has settled in and begins to reel him in somewhat.
Well, Rudd's got to be a little relieved after this round of pit stops. There's only 1 car in front of him. It's been 2 cars each time. You know, with Rusty Wallace being involved in the accident, he's way back in the traffic here. He's got a lot of ground to make up. He's not sure about his front end alignment. You know, when he hit that car of Jimmy Means, it bent the front end alignment. It towed the car in. A front steer car, like Rusty runs, always tows in when they get bent. A rear steer car, like the other guys, always tow out. Tow out would be more preferable, I think, so that's why they came in and made that adjustment. We'll see how good of a job they did on it.
And Gary, your reference to front and rear steer means that the steering mechanism is either in front of or behind the ball joint in the front of the car. So it's a different mechanism, it's different geometry that's been used. The cars that have won primarily on the short tracks over the years have been rear steer cars. But of recent note, the past 4 or 5 years, the Speedway cars that run so well have been the newer front steer geometry. And of course, the cars up front there mostly are front steer cars now.
Yeah, you're right. It really goes back and forth. It's almost like fashions, I think. It's like that one year there's a lot of front steer cars doing well. Later there's a lot of rear steer cars doing very well. It goes back and forth as the years go on. The thing about it is the tie rods that connect the 2 front wheels together, and that's when you turn the steering wheel. That's what causes the car to turn. When a front steer car gets hit on the wheel, like Rusty's did, it bends the tie rod, and any bend in that tie rod will cause it to toe in since it is in the front of the axle.
Well, Rusty Wallace, you see him there. He is in gridlock back there in that lap traffic. He is trying to work behind the Sterling Marlin car. Lake Speed's car to the right of the 83 car is Lake Speed. 44 is Sterling Marlin. And Rusty's car is certainly not as strong. His car is slipping a little bit out of the corners. He just can't get the bite, Ned.
Well, and he's having to do it on the outside, and that's not where he likes to run. His car is set up to run on the inside of the racetrack, but in order to lap these cars, he has to move on the outside. As we see Phil Parsons there trying to take over the 5th position from Bill Elliott right in front of Rusty Wallace. Now Rusty moves down to the inside, or tries to at least, of Lake Speed. That's where he wants to run.
Rusty Wallace back in the pack now, still 7th on the field. But up front, it's Earnhardt, and then Ricky Rudd, and one guy creeping up there is Jeff Bodine. The final laps of the Holly Farms 400 when we come back. There are your lead cars back in the Wilkesboro Speedway. 353 laps in the books, 47 to go to the checkered flag here for the Holly Farms 400. And Dale Earnhardt trying to hold off the challenge of Ricky Rudd. But back in the pack, they're battling, mixing it up. And there is Bill Elliott, the man who currently leads the points. And Rusty Wallace doing everything he can to pull on the inside of Elliott. That's a battle back for 6th position. Just in front of them, Phil Parsons had just gone by Bill Elliott to take 5th spot. And now Rusty Wallace moves to the inside of Elliott up in turn 4.
And it looked like he's going to be able to make that pass. Wallace gets loose, though. He breaks the back end of the car loose. He got on the gas a little bit too soon, but he's going to drive her hard back down into turn 1, staying down on the inside. Let's see if he can get traction this time as he heads off in turn 2. At least he's going to go down the backstretch, or up the backstretch, I should say, side by side with Bill Elliott.
Gary, both these drivers are just battling bucking Broncos out there, ill-handling race cars. It looks like that the Elliott car is extremely loose, and Rusty's car, he just can't get it by off the corner. They're both back and forth, sawing that steering wheel.
Well, you know, with Rusty's car, the toe out or in the front, the wheels probably aren't agreeing. The front wheels aren't agreeing on where they want to go right now. The toe in, the alignment is off, so that means there's some drag on the front wheels. And when he hits the gas, like right there, the rear wheels are trying to pass the front ones because the rear wheels are still running pretty free, but the front wheels are almost like having front brakes on.
Now Rusty finally makes the pass, and up in front of him, Phil Parsons has already disposed of Terry Labonte in the red and white number 11 car there, so that will move Phil Parsons into the 4th position. Labonte is running 5th. Now Rusty Wallace in 6th and Bill Elliott running in 7th position.
Back up front, and the battle heats up a little bit up front as Earnhardt now trying to hold off, and he gets a little bit of a tap from Ricky Rudd. Earnhardt's still out of shape, and Rudd will have the inside move. Let's see if Earnhardt can get back at him, but no, Rudd pushes the pedal and goes by. They head for turn 1, and Earnhardt says, okay, it's my turn. Up turn 1, and here he goes. Rudd goes around. Earnhardt is on the brakes, Bodine's on the brakes, and Rudd is spun, and yellow flag. Well, that's interesting, Ned. Yep. It's tap 1, tap 2.
Watch and see what NASCAR does here. This is poor Ricky Rudd that has been so strong all day, but he knows as well as everybody knows when you mess with Dale Earnhardt, it's like messing with a hornet's nest.
Well, Dale Earnhardt, he got a nudge up until, let's take a look and see what happened. Now, this is the second nudge, apparently, down in turn 1. Now, Rudd had already gotten with Earnhardt, Ned.
He'd already gotten around him, and to go into turn 1, Rudd moves down on the inside. Earnhardt runs in there behind him a little bit harder than Rudd does, tries to dip down on the inside, taps him just a little bit, gets Rudd sideways, and on around he goes.
Earnhardt is hard on the brakes there, trying to keep him getting around in the door.
And we understand that they're going to put both of those drivers at the end of the lead pack. Now, they'll be coming down making pit stops now, but each of them did a little bit of bumping. Rudd bumped Earnhardt first going into turn 3, made the pass. And let's go to Dick Berger now in Dale Earnhardt's pits.
Well, Ned Jarrett, if whatever bumping went on was certainly minor in nature, I can see the front of Dale Earnhardt's car, and it's just not damaged at all. There's just a little bit of a scratch up there, and that's part of short track racing. The left side, however, is well damaged. Benny Parsons, what's going on to you?
I'm down the Ricky Rudd pit. They're changing 4 tires. The only indication of anything that might have happened was just a moment ago, Larry McReynolds kind of shook at his fist at Dale Earnhardt as he drove by.
There's going to be a lot of fist shaking going on between those two before today's over, I'm sure.
Well, it's heating up here in North Wilkesboro. It's a cool, crisp fall afternoon, and the leaves are changing and the tempers are flaring as we're getting down to the last few laps of the Holly Farms 400. And Dale Earnhardt and Ricky Rudd going at it, 2 of the stronger cars. And there is Earnhardt now back on the racetrack as he has had a tire change. And NASCAR has effectively slapped them both on the hand by putting them, I guess, or we understand they are planning possibly to put them back on the tail end of the lead lap.
Well,
we'll wait and see what happens.
I don't think that's happening, Jerry, because Earnhardt now is going back up to the head of the pack. He's leading the race, and they did not motion him to go to the back, at least not at this point.
Oh, there they go.
Now he's slowing up as Bodine goes around him. So we are showing now less than 40 laps to go here at Wilkesboro Speedway, and the leader showing is Jeff Bodine now. Bodine pulling up behind the safety car, and of course his teammate there, Kenny Schrader, who's being shown a lap down. Schrader was showing in 10th spot, 1 lap down, trying to relinquish that front spot. So Bodine will be the leader of note when we go back to green.
And this crowd is absolutely going wild about the circumstances here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway.
Well, they like it. We're getting ready to go back to green here. They're on their feet for the final few laps. We're winding down. And Harold Kender flips those yellow lights out and waves that green flag. Hold on to your seats, folks. It's isn't over yet because Bodine is up front. But those are the cars we're watching as they go to turn one. Run on the outside of Darrell Waltrip. A little bit of slipping and sliding by Kenny Schrader. And Schrader, now the lap car on the inside, gives way. And Bodine and Terry Labonte, the man who has won the last two events here at Wilkesboro Speedway. We haven't talked much about Labonte, but he certainly is a sleeper and in a strong car late in the race.
Yes, he's been right up in top 10 all day, finally moved into the top 5, and now into second position.
Apparently what NASCAR did was they put Dale Earnhardt back to the position just ahead of Ricky Rudd because they restarted the race right together in the middle of the pack.
Well, I tell you, I don't know whether Earnhardt and Rudd both have to be steaming inside those cars. You see a little smoke coming out of those cars. It's got to be coming out from beneath the helmets of both those drivers because they are making their way to the front in a hurry. There is Rusty Wallace, and there is Earnhardt and Rudd as they go around the outside of Bobby Hillen's car. They're trying to realize both of them have a shot at winning. Earnhardt has a shot at possibly a Winston Cup title. They can't throw that away, and they are trying to make their way to the front. Hillen's car running pretty stout. Earnhardt makes the outside move, and will go around Bobby Hillen.
Well, Rudd tried to follow Hillen and thought maybe he might be able to pull on the inside, but that wouldn't quite work. Let's go to the pits where Dick Berggren is with Richard Childress, Dale Earnhardt's car owner.
Well, Richard, what was the exact nature of the penalty? What did NASCAR say to you?
I don't know. They just wanted us to move back there. I couldn't see what happened. I just can't comment on it right now. I don't know what happened.
What did Dale say to you when you told him he had to go in the back of the pack?
He wanted to know why. He said Ricky spun him up 3 and he bumped him down here. So I don't know what happened.
That's Richard Childress. He owns car number 3 that's just been penalized and put into the back of the pack.
Well, that's exactly what happened. Ricky did bump Dale going into turn 3. Didn't spin him out, but he got him crossways, made the pass, and then Earnhardt just retaliated down in turn 1. Here's a battle for second place. There's the leader, Jeff Bodine, the yellow and white car, but here's Rusty Wallace in the 27 car trying to take over second.
Remember, Rusty has that toe-in problem in the front of the car, and you got to really give a hand to Rusty Wallace. He's driving the car all out here in these final laps at North Wilkesboro. Wallace makes the move on the inside of Terry Labonte and will take over the second spot.
Now, does he have enough strength to catch Jeff Bodine? The laps are winding down here in North Wilkesboro, but Wallace's car does not seem to be affected too much, Gary, by that problem they had there a little earlier.
No, he looks awful strong right here. Very strong, Rusty Wallace. I think he is gaining on Jeff Bodine.
Well, now Ricky Rudd has moved around Dale Earnhardt and has taken over the 6th position. They were back in 6th and 7th, but it was reversed. And Rudd has moved around Earnhardt and see what he can do about those top 5 up in front of him.
Well, I'm sure Larry McReynolds had just radioed Ricky Rudd and said, hey, partner, we got 29 laps to catch a bunch of race cars, so you better get on it. And Rudd zipped by Earnhardt, and now he is currently being shown in 6th position. He just got a glimpse of Phil Parsons' car. Phil is in front of him. He's in 5th spot as Rudd makes his way to turn 1. 28 laps to go in North Wilkesboro. Ricky Rudd in 6th, Dale Earnhardt in 7th. The leader back up front is Jeff Bodine. Jeff Bodine, who has never won here at this North Wilkesboro Speedway. He is trying to hang on. He knows these two guys back there chomping at the bit.
Well, Ricky Rudd was 3.5 seconds behind the last time around, Jerry, and he's still 3.5 seconds behind the leader, Jeff Bodine. And I'll tell you, that's going to be awfully tough to make up here on a 5-8 mile racetrack.
Back up front, the lead car, Jeff Bodine. There is Bodine, the Levi Garrett Chevrolet, showing the way here. Some 15 car lengths over Rusty Wallace. Well, a brand new renovated North Wilkesboro Speedway. All kinds of renovations as we show you in this ESPN Track Fact.
Track Facts are brought to you by the Robert Bosch Corporation, makers of Bosch Platinum, the ultimate spark plug.
North Wilkesboro Speedway opened in 1961. And it was a rather unique layout, a downhill front straightaway and an uphill backstretch. But the real concern at this racetrack was the treacherous pit road. The drivers just did not have enough room to pit. They would double up on caution flag pit stops. It was so congested that the crews were actually afraid. They were very concerned. Well, that is no more. Now, a brand new pit road, and more importantly, for the first time ever, a pit wall that separates the cars from the crews. and a beautiful brand new garage area. A dugout area between turns 1 and 2, a covered garage area for each individual team and driver. This one-of-a-kind victory lane here at the Wilkesboro Speedway, unique to stock car racing. This hydraulic lift, you simply roll the winning car and driver on the lift. It picks the car and puts it right up on top of the infield media center here on this beautiful checkered flag floor for all the fans to see. Quite a spectacle here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Just over 20 laps to go. Who will get to be on that lift and be in victory lane? Well, right now it's Jeff Bodine showing the way here as the laps wind down. Stay tuned. At North Wilkesboro Speedway, 15 laps remain here in the Holly Farms 400, and Jeff Bodine is showing the way. Bodine, the left of your screen, that white, yellow numeral, car number 5, and the interval between Bodine and the Rusty Wallace, 1 second. That's Wallace trying to reel in Bodine. Remember, Wallace had that front end problem. As there is Bodine, the left of your screen, the leader, and Rusty Wallace currently running in second spot. Let's check the interval coming out of turn 4 and see if Rusty is catching him at all. As they come across, there's Bodine. 0.6 of a second as the laps are winding down. Rusty trying to win this race here at the Wilkesboro Speedway, battling this man here. Bill Elliott is on the outside of Terry Labonte, and there is Ricky Rudd. They're battling back for 4th spot. Labonte is 4th, Elliott is 5th, and Elliott trying to take that 4th spot away. Bill Elliott up on the outside of the racetrack coming out of turn 4. Ricky Rudd has the best seat in the house for that battle. Rudd trying to decide, well, do I stay behind Labonte or do I follow Elliott? And now Rudd says, well, I'll make my own groove on the inside, but there's no room there at all coming out of turn 2.
Not enough room down there on the inside. Labonte continued to hold that inside groove, but it seems like the second groove, or the outside groove, is working better right now, so Ricky Rudd decides he'll try that, but Bill Elliott hasn't made the pass totally yet.
You got to be able to almost see the frustration in Ricky Rudd.
And Dave
there.
Marcus pins Dale Jarrett coming off of turn 4.
Right in front of the leaders. Here comes Jeff Bodine and Rusty Wallace, who
Marcus got under Jarrett as he started off of the turn and got him crossways, and of course the caution comes out again.
Boy, what do you do now if you're the crew chief? Do you get tired? Do you stay out? Boy, it's going to be a lot of strategy right here.
Well, I tell you, I really can't imagine, you know, as tough as traffic has been here, someone taking a chance of coming in, particularly the top 2 or 3 cars.
The top few should stay out. The ones in the back should come in.
Yeah.
If the leader comes in, the ones in the back should stay out.
Well, Ernie Elliott is standing on pit road with a pit board waiting for Bill Elliott. So, and also Terry Labonte's crew is out there waiting for his car, and Rusty Wallace's crew. Harold Elliott, the engine builder. There's the Elliott crew. And here comes Labonte, and here comes Dale Earnhardt down pit road.
Yeah, they had nothing to lose. They were going backwards. Earnhardt was back in 7th place, the last car on the lead lap, so he had no choice but to come in, and Labonte was going backwards as well.
Right side tires for the Goodrich and Budweiser crews, pitting nose to tail. Junior Johnson, the big gentleman there in the front of the car. As the laps wind down here in the Wilkesboro Speedway, we're under caution. Who will win it? Jeff Bodine currently